All right, we're ready when you are.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Weird Science Marvel Comics podcast. I almost said DC for the week of December 5th, 2018. We're in December and a lot of books came out this week. And what we're going to do is we're going to separate into a couple shows this week. We'll probably start having 2 shows a week. We got to figure out the day. We mentioned this last week a little as well, but we'll figure out what's going on. But today, for our main show here, we're going to be talking some number ones because a bunch of number ones came out this week. And we're going to start with Killmonger #1. And I'll tell you, these number ones came out. I'm not going to tell you that I'm that excited about all of them.
Yeah, no. These are any of them I would have ran to the store and picked up, based on.
I was excited about Killmonger.
I was once I saw who the creative team was, but then once I read it, you'll see I wasn't so excited anymore. But I'll give you my little blurb here. It is Killmonger #1, written by Brian Hill, art by Juan Ferreira, letters by VC's Joe Sabino. I love Brian Hill and I love Juan Ferreira even more. And I don't love Killmonger so much. For one, I am not a huge fan of the character, and this first issue didn't grab me out of the gate. It looks great, but if the story doesn't pick up a bit by the next issue, I'd probably be out. Now, if I'm out or not depends on the podcast, but if I was buying this just to read at home, #1, I don't think I would have ever have picked it up, except if I would have heard that Juan Ferreira was on. He is a big, get fresh crew guy, but boop, so's Brian Hill. So the creative team kind of gets me going with this. But I was hoping that by the end of reading this, I would be all on board with a Killmonger book. I was kind of bored. And again, this is, a mini series, right? It's a 5-issue deal. And we start off here. It's kind of boring for me, at least, because you're just setting him up in between the point where he was taken from Wakanda before he goes back. So this is that, almost like Killmonger, the Lost Years.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is Killmonger. This is your life.
Yeah. So I get the concept of it. I just think that I wanted a little more right off the bat. Maybe it's a slower start.
You really couldn't do a little bit more off the bat, actually, because Killmonger has been kind of out of the comics for a little bit. Yeah. You had to set up the premise of the story, which I believe this issue did rather well. And it was more of a character driven arc
issue. Yeah, it was, and I was bored as hell. Is what I was, because basically, like I said, through this though, I don't like Killmonger anyway, and I only know him from the movie, and I hate him. So this didn't make me like him any, which I guess you don't have to. But
there's not much to like about him.
It's you set up, you have him.
He's trying to build a little bit of like in it because you see that he's going to college at the beginning, and his family was tortured and killed, and then he was taken away. So you're not supposed to like him. But he's trying to force it that he's sympathetic.
Yeah, he is sympathetic. It's just I think maybe by the end of it, maybe the thing that I have is if really we got together before this and you told me, hey, there's going to be this Killmonger book and it's going to start with him in college. It's between the deal. What do you think will happen? I mean, it is just a tale of revenge. You have this, and it seems like the same things that I would expect from it. So maybe I was just bored with it. It's a little cliched. I just didn't like it that much. I love the art. The writing's fine. I just think that it's just not a book for me, maybe.
Yeah, there were 2 parts in particular I liked. One was kind of in the middle where he gets caught up with Kingpin and all those dudes. Yeah. And then
I really liked Brian Hill's Kingpin.
Yeah.
And then by the end where, he's talking with that girl who basically just wants to off him any chance she has the opportunity. And there's obviously some Wakanda hints in her lineage as well.
Yeah.
Those were the 2 things I'm intrigued to kind of explore forward in the series. But yeah, I agreed. Other than that, there wasn't much in the issue that grabbed me other than, I like looking at when Juan draws things on pages.
Yeah. And for me, that accentuated the issue. I mean, granted, there isn't a ton going on. It's a lot of character building because, you're also building up unknown team members.
Yeah. And that may be something in the back of my head. That's another issue I have with it. is just the idea that we're not going to have that many issues. We only have 4 more issues. So you're building a lot of characters. And I'm afraid that by the end of the 5, you're just going to end up, okay, now I know the team. And
well,
then it's
I mean,
done,
the team is pretty much expendable in my mind. They're probably never going to be around after this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I don't know how much I want to learn about them, but you know,
I don't think he pushed too much on those backup characters.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of. I think that we may focus on that then to figure out. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
I think you might be possibly wrong on that, because I mean, you learned a little bit about the king, and you learned a little bit about what it is.
Just the idea that the king has powers. That will.
The other guy I forgot about already.
They didn't touch on him at all. That's why I'm kind of. That's why I'm kind of
quick.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm not. Really assuming that they're going to be focusing on that team as much.
I just wonder, because you have a guy who has power, so you would think that you're going to have something with that, and then you have this idea that Knight may have a little bit of a Wakanda type deal or something connecting. That seems to be the character that will continue on. I'm guessing that they're going to go, and the next sort of job they're going to do, you're going to have King go, hey, Knight, you go with Killmonger, and they're going to have to get to know each other a little more and kind of become friendly, maybe lovers. I'm not sure.
He does seem to have that sway over women.
He does, yes. He does have the sway over the ladies.
Machismo.
Yes, he does. Now, the other thing that I thought was weird is I'm going in and I don't know these characters. So right away when they're like, hey, Knight, watch out. I'm like, is that Misty Knight? Like,
my mind went exactly to that.
That was a lot
like Misty Knight too.
It was it was a weird kind of, was that sort of a kind of a red herring? Like they threw that out there, because then I'm thinking, I don't know tons of Misty Knight. So I'm like, wait a minute, is the time frame this? Would that make sense?
I mean, because I mean, I don't know exactly when she got her metal arm.
And that's exactly what you go for.
But this is a pre
Quill
kind of comic. So
I don't know by this time where he's dealing with Claw, because Kingpin feels like he's running New York. So at the same time,
plus these are just code names. I would doubt that a Misty Knight would be called Knight.
Yeah, I would assume this is when. I would assume this is when Kingpin was still the nobody knows about him Kingpin running the behind the scenes underground.
Well, and I
back in the day kind of deal.
And I like the idea. And really the whole deal is that you have Killmonger. He's there. He wants to get revenge. He is, going to go and get Claw. He's going after all these things to kind of set things right. And in the meantime, these characters, King, Knight, as the other Bishop, Rook, I guess he says his name is, the guy who really gets pushed aside. We may never see Rook much at all. But,
Rook is definitely a red shirt.
And really. And the funny thing is, I believe he has a red jacket on at one point. So it's very close. Yeah, so they end up being, grabbing Eric Killmonger and taking him to Kingpin. And again, I'll also say that I really like the way that Juan draws Kingpin as well. I like Juan's art. Now, the one thing that kind of not surprised me, but it may just be because of the way the storytelling is. It's up to Brian Hill, but the panel layout's very kind of not generic for Juan, but very straightforward. A lot of times he likes to
a lot of big splash or like double pages where the length.
It's not like where a lot of times, but he does. If people hadn't read a lot of Juan, what he likes to do, and there are a couple of the panels where the characters go outside the panel space.
When he flashes back.
Yeah, and I really like that. But a lot of times he uses the scenery and the set pieces as part of his panel breakdown, and he doesn't do that as much here. This is pretty much, pretty straightforward deal, but he may get a little more fancy later. But even like the scene where at one point they end up getting Killmonger and taking him to Kingpin. Kingpin says, listen, and I agree. Kingpin, and I think the characters are all great. I really do like all of them. And Kingpin especially, because he says to Killmonger, hey, listen, you want revenge. Yeah. And we realize, these people are pieces of crap. I understand that you probably deserve revenge. You deserve this anger for you, but it messes up my game. You can't mess up my game here. So
not here.
Stop. Yeah, stop. So they end up letting him go, but it's just a ruse to get him back to his apartment so they can follow, see what he's up to, see what he's involved with.
They want more information.
Yeah, so then a guy who is a double red shirt ends up attacking Killmonger. And
I really like this aspect of how Kingpin's it's gears within gears.
It's all this.
That's all he ever is.
Interesting to me. It's just the cliched story overall, and hopefully it changes. I said it's good enough to get me to the next issue. The next issue can't just be, Eric sitting around saying, I want revenge, I want this, and them saying, no, you got to. If it keeps going that way, then I would be out. But I really do like the art and the progression. And one thing that I think Juan does a lot of that we don't talk a lot about, because we've had Juan a lot at the on the DC podcast, and he talks to us and stuff like that. He's friends with us, and I really love his action scenes. To me, his action scenes are always the best thing. He ends up making them so cinematic that the angles are great. They're not confusing, and he does it again in this. And I actually like the idea, because I'm a guy who really likes the idea. My mattress thing just fell that I have. It almost killed me. I like where everything has detail, but I like when he does, once it goes into action, it centers just on the characters. So you have a lot of things.
He definitely knows how to direct your eye. And I like how he pulls away from different perspectives though too. Like when dude's getting tossed out the window, you see the break between the window and
it's so just good to go from seeing what the window set up with this jagged glass till the next thing where, like I said, it's even like the wall becomes kind of a panel, thing as well. And he just smashes the guy's head off, and he's just bloody. And that's where King.
Yeah, it was a cool death scene.
Oh, it's really good. And King says, "Hey, we tried to kill you, but it's kind of a test, and you're the one who passed, so I'm going to offer you, a job here, and you can work with us. And if you're going to work with us." Then you can kind of get your revenge, get close to Claw and things like that. That way, if not, you can't be around. You're going to end up dead. And that's where King shows that he has a bit of powers. He ends up controlling, kind of rips the gun out of Killmonger's hands, levitates him, and basically says, you know what? It's going to hurt what I'm going to do, but yet it coming throws him out the window. And he ends up where Knight shows up and says, you know what? He must like you, because he would have killed you if it wasn't the case. But then we just go really quickly where we go off and they're like, you know what? Harlem stinks. Let's get the heck out of here. And they end up on Long Island. Out at the beach, and they basically are, the lady, the Knight doesn't like any bits of Killmonger, wants him out, and they're like, no, we're going to do this. We need this crew. We need a bigger crew, and whatever. And then you get this ending where you have Killmonger kind of talking to his mother with the Panther and stuff like that, and in the end has a crazy, almost looks like one of those shirts that people would, have the spray paint shirt with the howling at the moon. Yeah, it looked like that. But yeah, like I said, I like the art a lot. I like the characters. I like the writing. It's a very quick issue. I mean, you go through this. I was done, in 4 minutes, it seemed.
I didn't feel that.
I did. Because maybe it's just the big panels or whatever.
I mean, it's 30. It's what?
Yeah, it's like 28 pages. Yeah, I got through it very quickly.
Out of all the other books that were also oversized this week, I read this was by far the quickest.
Yeah, and by the end, I just thought, well, that's kind of what I thought it was going to be, and it didn't really get me that excited for Killmonger himself. But you liked it, Aaron. You said you liked it more than me, so yeah.
I really did like this issue actually, and I was not really understanding where Brian Hill was going to be starting this Killmonger story off, because I was pretty sure the Killmonger was already dead and everything. So for him to do a prequel kind of story of Killmonger, I kind of look forward to, especially since this is, for me, is kind of like the Black Panther-esque story I was looking for after the movie dropped, that we have not been getting in the Black Panther book at all.
Getting anything.
So I mean, this is more of the movie tie-in kind of angle, and the story is kind of been done before, but
Yeah.
I believe the art did elevate it quite a bit to something more than just the kind of a mediocre story.
Oh yeah.
The names, yeah, I definitely kind of had a problem with that. I mean, I can't really picture Kingpin allowing his right-hand man or whatever to call himself king.
Yeah, that was what was weird.
So that was kind of off on that a little bit.
And it's funny, while I was saying it and I said king, it seemed weird to me. And I actually was paging to make sure I didn't screw up because I thought to myself, that's weird that he would allow that. Yeah.
And I'd never seen Ulysses Claw be his last name spelt like it was here. So that kind of threw me off. Normally I see it as the KLAW.
Yep, not the AUE.
Yeah, so that kind of threw me off. And then what was her name? Night, being close to Misty Knight and kind of looking similar to Misty Knight with the hairdo. I would have probably gone a little different direction with her hairdo,
or change her name,
or change her name.
There are other,
and then her calling Killmonger Oswald was throwing me off a little bit too. So I mean, those little hiccups aside, I really thoroughly enjoyed this issue myself.
Yeah, my thing is, like I said, I thought that the overall story was a little cliched going. Like you said, we've seen that before, but I do like, and it's funny too, because as you were saying that, I was like, did Kingpin ever use the names? Because maybe I was thinking in my mind, maybe it was one of those where they have their crew names and he doesn't know, but no. In fact, he calls Mr. King. He calls him at one point. I'm like, that is odd. Like you could have had him just be Bishop, but then maybe they thought that would confuse people because
I really just feel like he was looking for just generic names because these people are really not going to matter all that much. King might have some more influence on Killmonger in the long run, but I mean, this is pretty much a generic. He gets out of college. He tries to kill Claw, fails. Now he's got to learn the ways of the underground a little bit through who better learn it from but the Kingpin, and then he gets his name. He just pulls it out of thin air, Killmonger. But I mean, I definitely maybe a little too high on it, but did you guys read the Brian Hill letter he wrote on the last page?
Yeah, I read it. Yes.
Reading that for me just kind of, I don't know. It gave me a little bit more hope for the direction he was going to go with this. So I'm probably around an 8.
Yeah, I'm going 7. I love the art. Like I said, I like the characters. It's just I want more of the story. I'm going to see how it turns out. And yeah, there are some, like we said, about, Misty Knight, kind of that whole deal. Other than that, I wanted more Kingpin himself. Like when we saw Kingpin,
that was probably the most enjoyable part.
I was like, man, if it was just Kingpin here, and even when he's like, what are we gonna do with you? And Eric's like, do whatever you want, fat man. And I'm like, it's pretty bad, but yeah, I want to know more about this, and I just think that maybe we're gonna get too much of the.
I kind of hope we just get like a jump ahead in time a little bit. Maybe
I wouldn't mind.
Maybe like a year or two or something like that.
Like he's already into the on the next issue. One thing though I thought was kind of not impressive, but the way they did it, you kind of think that this is a cool idea because with Black Panther, the book as it is with, in space, T'Challa's in space and stuff, it would be odd for them to confuse people by having something where, and also, like you said, he's dead. So you have to have it at some point. But I like that this is not involving Black Panther. It's him getting towards the point where he will go back to claim. So I think that was a good move just because of what's going on in the regular book. And then we'll see what goes on after, the return and things like that. So,
another thing that I think he did really well, though, is Eric Killmonger could have came off as like really whiny and like angsty because he is that age that they would like to do that to him. But normally he conveyed how upset he is at just life without being overly verbal about it.
Yeah, and that also he's upset, but also they set it up at the beginning that he's so smart and so, you know, wanted by all these people. Like they see, it starts off and he's graduating college and everybody wants, you know, him to join whatever they're doing. So that was a good setup as well. And also goes with a good setup that when you get to this group, Misty and King kind of have that back and forth of, you know, you see King realizes that, you know, Killmonger has something they could benefit from, but he's also got that kind of thing that's a little scary that Knight doesn't want any parts of. So it's one of those, like, is the risk reward deal good? I like that. I just think that with the limited amount of issues and things like that, I'm afraid that we're just going to kind of just deal with character moments. And then by the end, I'm going to end up saying like, well, now we're getting started and it's over. I kind of fear that with the last book we're going to talk about as well. But what about you, Brandon? How about you?
I'm in between both. Yeah, I don't have strong feelings about it either way. It felt a lot like just reading about Killmonger from the movie and his origin story to me. I did like the like I said, the Kingpin part and kind of the cliffhanger was looking like it's going to finally venture off into a different direction of something I don't know about the character, I haven't seen recently. So that's kind of what I'm more interested in. And then I like the art, obviously. So yeah, I went 7.5 on this.
And I'll give it to the one thing Brian Hill doesn't go is kind of making Killmonger that, you know, really street tough kind of guy. Like even like Aaron was saying, he's not whiny, he's not, you know, doing that. So I think it was all done well. It's just the overall story I needed to pick up a little as we go. Plus, it at one point, King himself from his profile looked like Burt Reynolds, and it made me sad that we lost Burt Reynolds. That was just that's just the side. He's a sexy Burt Reynolds guy, but yeah. So we'll see how that
Vaseline.
is. Now. Yes. Now by the next two, yes, the next two books though are kind of weird to me. I can't really get a grip on exactly, you know, what they're trying to do fully.
Yeah. I don't understand the point of them if they're just going to have a Defenders #1 to be.
Yeah, so we'll see. But what is the first one, Brandon?
The first one is the Immortal Hulk, the Best Defense #1. I don't know, Defenders Hulk #1, whatever the heck you want to call it.
Yeah,
by Al Ewing, art by Simone Del Mio and Dano Sanchez Almara. Al Ewing brings the Hulk party to the start of this Defenders with a little bit of the same. With some better art and a more interesting mystery. With Doctor Strange book coming up very shortly, it takes a little bit of the steam out of what's going on here, but a little more fun than I was anticipating and thought that I would going in.
Yeah, and this is done by Al Ewing, so it's the guy doing Immortal Hulk, so it feels very similar. So I don't know if if either of you would say that's a benefit or it's not, because at one point it just felt too much like the regular Immortal Hulk book.
I almost looked at the cover again. Did I download the right issue?
The best is that Aaron thought it was so much like the Immortal Hulk that he read the Immortal Hulk and this. So I will tell you, I would love to hear after the fact what Aaron thought, because I think me and Brandon are on the same page where this just, I know the idea, and like a crossover, I love when, like, we had the Witching Hour at DC, where you had books that are being written by James Tynion, and he ends up doing the crossover. So I like that, and did the whole thing. I like that fact, but I don't know if maybe I wouldn't have minded having a different writer on Hulk just for this. So it kind of gave it a different feel.
I don't even know who's writing the main Defenders book.
I think it's Chip Zdarsky. I think that he's the one doing.
That means I won't read it, but
yeah, he is.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
You know, he's the one that should be doing all of these then, because this just felt
that's what I'm saying.
Disjointed maybe from what's
so when it gets to that Defenders, it may kind of not be as tight as, you know, what's going on, but it does feel this. On the other hand, it feels like this Hulk from this, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely the Hulk we've been
getting. There's benefits from that as well. So, you know, however you go with that idea, wherever you kind of go, but especially having a week where you have the Immortal Hulk and then this, it just kind of felt a little weird. But yeah, this whole idea of just setting up where the Hulk goes into a town, you know, and it's very Hulk-esque. He kind of just walks into town somewhere in New Mexico.
He doesn't really know why. He's like following
Bruce
this hint
Banner
from the back of his brain from the green guy.
And as this thing goes on, you do have it, you know, interspersed with panels from the original run of Hulk. You know, it's even the gray.
Yeah, I like that a little bit.
Yeah, it actually works out. When I'm reading it, I want to know, is that something that means more, or is that just a stylistic choice that they're kind of having fun with?
Help the story along a little bit. I don't think it's anything more.
Is it one of those
surface level,
or is it one of those that it's trying to show that while things are different, they always remain the same? The song remains the same, as Led Zeppelin said, that, you know, these ideas of, you know, people trying to shoot Hulk and trying to beat him up, these will always be the case, and this is why eventually he'll join the Defenders. I don't know. I'd have to see, because he goes in the town. It looks like it's deserted. He's trying to figure out what's going on, goes to a house, and a guy pulls a gun on him, and then they start fighting. Shots are fired. They're fighting.
I just thought he was trying to be killed to be the Hulk.
Yeah, and this is still as Bruce Banner. And and it is daylight, and even says, you know, the Hulk. And at one point, even like, I'm going to give you permission, Hulk, to be the Hulk in day.
Spelled out more, you know, better in this issue than it has in the entire Hulk series.
Yeah, I thought so too. And also goes with that caveat in this that he can kind of allow Hulk to kind of come out as well. Like, hey, Hulk, I need you. You're going to have to get involved. It is getting later as well. But with this, these people are fighting him. He ends up going and finding out that Doctor Strange is dead. He's been burned. The eye is gone. He's looking
this abandoned town.
Yeah, so he's in this abandoned town. Like, what is going on? And the whole deal. Oh, Stephen Strange. He'd always let me bunk up at his house. He's a nice guy when I'm outdoors. You know, I could always go to his place. But you have him, you know, Banner trying to figure out what's going on in this town. In the meantime, you have this interlude with what looks like, I don't know, a ghost / you know, possibly a guy who might be a racist. It looks very, very odd, attacking a guy, but it's really, and it's in the Rim world. It's crazy, you know, and who knows what's going on with that, but that's just a little interlude there. But yeah, in the meantime, it's just a bunch of fights. And the first fight, there's even an old lady just sitting there watching. It's very odd. And I got confused because both characters, Banner and this guy, look very similar.
Yeah, we discussed this before. Like, the art is enjoyable and it's actually great to look at. But when they start fighting, it turns into just like, you know, a Taz tornado.
And this is where I was talking about with Juan, where he pulls the camera back and points through. This is like really, it's the kind of,
it's like Jason Bourne fight scene.
Yeah, and it's a lot of just fist to the head and things. And yeah, with that going on, he ends up grabbing the gun from this guy and just like, yep, I'm going to figure out what's going on. Heads off where he goes to this bar. And there's people there where there's an old guy who has the eye. And says, you know, Banner figures out you're controlling these people. What's going on? He kind of gives a Rambo-esque type of deal from First Blood, where he wandered into town. They treated him bad. They kicked him, told him to get out of town. In the meantime, he went, found a burning Doctor Strange, grabbed the eye. Seems to know what the eye's all about, which is odd. There's,
I know.
You know, a little tell with that.
And can work it.
So I actually think this is just Doctor Strange in some weird, you know, roundabout way, especially at the end or whatever it may be, because while this is going on, they start fighting. Then the two, Banner and this older guy with the eye, start fighting. And, you know, as he's hulking out more and more, it's going on. And he does end up getting the eye from the guy. And it's one of those two. He even says, let me look in the eye. Banner says that because he knows if he's going to see the truth, it's going to be the Hulk. And then you have that.
And then the guy gets all scared. He wants nothing to do with it.
And that's what the weird thing is. There's a couple weird tells where he says to the guy, like, why don't you look into it? And he's like, no, you know. So the ruse of what he really is would have come out then. But yeah, by the end, Hulk is Hulk. He has the eye. And then we get to you know, the thing at the end where it does look like he looks, and he is a apparition floating, this old guy with the eye on, and just says, well, Hulk thereby hangs the tale of who he really is, you know. And I was confused.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I don't know who this guy is. Maybe somebody that reads a little more Hulk or Doctor Strange.
And my problem being is then you go to this checklist. So I think, okay, we're gonna have 4. We're gonna have Hulk, Namor, Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, leading to the Defenders book in 2 weeks. Next week, you have Doctor Strange and Silver Surfer. So I'm sitting there, okay, well, this is a cool ending. It's going to continue in Namor somehow, though that doesn't make a lot of sense. But at the beginning, it says, the classic Defenders are back. Read the first 4 in any order. I'm like, oh, really? Really? We're going. So it's not going to tie in. So we'll have to wait for that. But yeah, the art was great, but the fights were confusing.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, overall, I liked it. But overall,
like another issue of the Hulk where we're still, wondering about what the overall story is.
Yes,
I was completely. I just finished reading while you guys were yabbering on, and I was completely confused. I have no idea what's going on. And no idea what's going on in the fight scenes. And
the whole basis of this, what I was led to believe, and especially when we talk the next book, which is Namor, I was led to believe this was going to be Namor collecting a team to be the Defenders. And so when you go into this, I'm waiting to see a tell of what's going on, but this just felt like it was a side story to the regular Immortal Hulk, where Banner just happened to walk to a town. I didn't see any connection. Yeah,
you almost feel like it's connected to where Banner comes out of being chopped up into the jars, because he crawls out and he's in the lab coat.
Yeah,
and that's when I read Immortal Hulk, I was thinking that was where we had last left off. So I was really confused on where that issue had started. But it was just my memory being messed up on that one. But this one, I have no idea.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd help us. No, it's confusing about where this even ties in with the Defenders. I guess this guy at the end, if it in fact is Doctor Strange in a different deal, somebody else, whatever it may be, I guess he's going to be the guy who's going to, connect because of what happens at the end of Namor. But even like at the end of Namor, what happens, I don't know how that ties into Silver Surfer.
I almost felt like the end of Namor, when we'll talk about that more, but I almost felt like that tied into what's happening in the Infinity Wars with the Amalgam Universe thing that's going on.
Yeah. But yet these are all just the same. And like I said, the thing that threw me off is that it says to read these first 4 in any order. So obviously each cliffhanger in my mind will be picked up when we hit Defenders, the best defense. So we'll have to wait for answers there. But I want to see a connection. So when I got done this, which I read first because it's on the first just listed on the the checklist, and whether or not you have to read them in order, I did just to do that and have an order. I was waiting to see a connection.
And it happened on accident.
But I would probably give this myself a 6.5. And hoping that by the Defenders #1, that it will end up kind of making it a little more sense and whatever. What would you give it, Aaron?
Oh, yeah. 6.5 myself, because I gotta go 6. I didn't really enjoy the art that much. It was confusing panel to panel progression. Everybody has like the same hair color. You can't tell who's fighting who.
That's a big problem.
I mean, it's well detailed. The backgrounds are very good.
I like it.
It almost feels like it's the art from Century.
It does look like Century. It does.
That old guy especially. That has the amulet, the Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just super confused from this
issue.
It's
confusing. The only thing,
and
I like
the writing and the art doesn't help either.
It's a little,
valuing style,
and it seems to be a mystery for mystery's sake right now. But what about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it enough, more art-wise than story-wise, just because it felt like another issue of, like the Hulk series we're reading, which is fine, but it's not a book that's getting me excited to read a Defenders book coming out.
No.
So, that's where I take some points off of it as far as that goes. I have no idea what the cliffhanger means, so that doesn't really get me too excited or anything along those lines. And these interludes that we're also going to kind of get in the next issue that are placed one page in the middle of this story, just looks kind of stupid to me. Like Scream is happening in a comic book. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what that is.
6'5".
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you don't like it in the Hook or the one in Namor when he's like, yeah, and he's running around like, and the art style in Namor
like a
makes
superhero
it really
is going to
goofy.
slap one of these fools in a ghost costume.
It actually looks like by the end you would expect somebody to grab him, pull the sheet off him, and him saying that he would have succeeded if not for these meddling.
Meddling superheroes.
Like. It looks like that's what it would be. So, did you give a score?
Yeah, 6'5", I said.
Okay, 6'5". So we're around the same. Now the next one is Namor, and I'll just tell you, this is my least favorite issue.
Yeah, this week. Yeah, me too.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually kind of like this one.
Here we go. Defenders, Namor, #1, written by Chip Zdarsky, art by Carlos Mango and Ian Herring. Open letter to Namor. I want to like you, buddy. I really do, but you're such a huge jerk. I don't find one thing I enjoy about you at all. In the Avengers book, in this book, in any book I've ever read, you're not likable. Then you throw Chip Zdarsky into the mix, and I really don't have much to say about this Defenders one-shot, or even seeing him in future Defenders issues. So let's talk.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I'm not as big a Chip Zdarsky hater. I don't like what he's referenced by certain other writers that may have written Multiple Man.
Yeah,
you know, if you know what I mean. But this issue, it almost reminds me, and again, you have to remember we're coming from the DC podcast.
Felt like I was listening to you talk about Aquaman.
Exactly. And now here's my problem is I'm coming from over the DC range here. I'm going over the mountain range to get to this. This reminded me of everything that I hated about the Justice League Dark and the Witching Hour crossover. It reminds me of everything I'm sick and tired of with Aquaman. So I think that maybe I'm coming from a biased place to do this. I did not like the art, though. I understand why the art's like this. I understand, it's kind of an old school look or whatever. I think that it was very confusing, and all this was to me was a continuation of Atlantis Zebul, except here it's Atlantis Vidani.
That thought crossed my mind that you were going to totally say that. Actually,
same thing. It's exactly that, including the woman, the Vidani, daughter, who might as well be Mara. She might as well be Mara here. The only thing that you have here
is Namor has these little, bootsies with
he has the bootsies. Also, I will give him one thing that you don't like, Brandon, but one thing he may have over Aquaman, or at least it's different. He has an attitude. He's got a tude.
Well, see, my problem isn't his attitude. That's all he's got is an attitude, and it never changes. Like no matter what.
But what I didn't like is he goes to the Vidani. He's trying to find them. You also get the deal that this is in the past. You have stuff with World War II going on, things like that, and all this stuff kind of mixed in, and he's going with this, and I just don't understand. I know he has an attitude. I know he has a problem, but he is kind of the guy who he is a little above his anger. Even he says, I got to control this anger because he doesn't have much to back him up. Yeah, and he doesn't have much behind him.
Well, he's still Namor, though.
He's desperate. He needs people. So I'm like, boy, it's really getting pushed towards where he just one little thing and he goes off. And the whole electrokinetic that is thrown in a bit too much. You have it twice where he explains it. I thought, okay, I got it the first time, but they want to spell that out because it also goes well with this girl. But it just at the end of it, pretty much it's just him trying to gather up forces. Hey, the oceans have to stick together. We're going to have this East Coast, West Coast war here. We're the oceans. And he does come off. And I do like, there's a couple things I do like. I like the idea that he shows up to the Vidanians, like basically like, here I am. Atlantis is here. Be happy. I've come to get you. And they're like, you really think we've been sitting around waiting for you?
Well, and they also don't seem worried because it's not connected to the Earth we're on in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
they're somewhere else where their problems aren't his problems.
Yeah, so you have, and again, you get this a lot at DC with Zebul and Atlantis with the why should we bother? You always were the jerks, and you get that, and then especially when you start getting with Namor like, I'm half man, half underwater. I can breathe. I'm like, oh, here we go. But I think that it went on way too long. And as I say on the other podcast, a lot of yakety yak going on. There's a lot of talking.
Yeah, a lot. It's a lot of information.
It is. There's a lot of, and if I thought that maybe it was all going to matter for this Defenders book by the end, then I would be like, okay, I get it. But I'll tell you, some of the info might serve us along the lines in the Avengers book even, and especially people who don't know. I'm not a Namor scholar. I don't know much about him. So I did learn, a little bit, but I don't know that it's necessary. It seems like this is like you're taking a class in college, and this is an elective that has nothing to do with your major. You're just made to take it. It's never going to do anything for what you're going to work at or whatever. It felt like a lot of work getting through this, and it really took me a while as we go. Yeah, and so you end up going.
This wins the longest issue of the night.
And the Vidani King's like, hey, listen, and that's where I also will tell you where I put a lot of weight on an idea of, and it happened with Killmonger even, where if you don't know the people's names by the end, I think that something went a little wrong. And there's not a lot of characters here. And basically, I know king and daughter. And that's all I know. And it's enough to keep me going.
I can't argue that.
Yeah, and you're supposed to know Namor anyway. But really, I don't. I had to look because as we started this up, Brandon's doing his blurb, and I'm trying to desperately find out what these people are. Oh, the Vidani. Okay. I found it at the last
The daughter
second.
is Kata.
Yeah.
Good luck remembering that.
Really. Yeah.
That's why I can't remember the damn names.
And basically, there's Namor, king, daughter, and one other thing where they go and attack the monster. And I don't even know what the monster was called. Basically,
I couldn't tell you what that monster still looks like.
It looked like a Kraken type squid. But yeah, he's sent there. Hey, you want? And by the end, I actually thought the twist was going to be because the king sends Namor. Okay, you want to prove your worth? Go and fight this big monster that nobody's ever been able to defeat. I thought that this was something that was keeping them imprisoned in the Vidani, thing. And if he could kill them, then they could go and be the bad butts. But it ends up just being a ruse that, okay, we wanted you to fight this big monster. And if you won, then we're just going to kill you anyway. In the meantime, his daughter gets involved. And then by the end, the king attacks Namor. They have a fight, and Namor basically realizes the way I'm going to win is kind of the thing that I have. He's like the Daywalker. He's like Blade, underwater Blade, where he's just, so he's like, I'm just going to take you up. And I like the concept that he is fighting for the oceans. But the thing that he has an advantage over of everyone is the surface world. It is the air. So he ends up getting kind of, jumping up, swimming up, and going into the air. And then the king dies while the girl. Like, and that's the thing, though. It ends up then in space where he can't breathe either, but he's not dying. And then he becomes the Silver Surfer. And I had no idea what was going on.
This is the second cliffhanger in a Defenders one shot. I have no idea what's happening.
I'm like, okay, that's
my thought was Silver Surfer saved him at first, but I'm like, wait, he's Silver Surfer.
Yeah,
and the surfboard came and saved him.
Yeah, the surfboard came to save him. And this is where I thought what was weird about this is we have the Immortal Hulk having the thing where the big twist in that was Doctor Strange is dead. Well, the next one shot is Doctor Strange. Then we end this one. I'm like, okay, that's weird, like Brandon said. Then we end this one with the surfboard coming to save him and kind of turning into the Silver Surfer with the board. And then one shot after that is Silver Surfer. So like, I don't understand. Like you're setting up cliffhangers and parts of your story that seem to have weight to them, but yet the one shots kind of, this one's a little different because you have the surfboard. Maybe it takes them right to the Silver Surfer, and maybe the second week ones will tie more into, but then again, I don't think they can because it tells you to read them in any order. So it's weird. You know what I mean? Like I would love it if these first two then tied into the next two.
That's also what kind of annoys me about that interlude is I'm staring at this dude's sleeve and the weapon he's using in the first one. And then the second guy's he looks like he's naked under that sheet.
Yeah. So, and it might be different guys. They may be, the attack of the Booga Boogas, the ghost people. I don't know what are the boogeymen.
Yeah, that hooded ghost apparition or whatever he is with the knife, that's totally threw me off completely. I was like, what was that?
For what a story's going to be moving to, you know? I guess that's what this is all leading to, possibly.
Like that's what they're gonna.
One thing I can appreciate though, that these are only just one shots. They're not doing what they did with Wolverine.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Return of Wolverine, where it was announced that everything was one shot.
Return of Wolverine.
Well, they announced that those were all one shots at first, but then they're like, "Oh, wait, no, this is Wolverine. We almost messed up there. No, these are what 3-issue minis or 4-issue minis or something like
4.
Yeah, so I mean, these are confusing, and they don't really get me jazzed. I was already jazzed for reading the Defenders or is it Invaders or Defenders? No, I'm confused.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's Defenders, but like you're saying, I think that Invaders is what Chip Zdarsky said. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Is this leading to Invaders? I don't know.
Chip Zdarsky knows what's going on. He'd be the first time.
I think the Defenders might be leading to the Invaders.
The Invaders, actually.
That's what it is. Because there's just going to be these 4 one-shots and then another one-shot with the Defenders.
Just the Defenders.
And then the Invaders starts, I believe.
And I know that he's doing Invaders, and he was very excited.
So even saying that is confusing.
Yeah, and he said the Invaders was like his spiritual successor to 2-in-1, which, you know, that's how he was playing it up. But this is just confusing. These two are confusing. And when we were deciding what to do, the problem is deciding what to do for the podcast. Once you kind of commit, you have to keep going with it. I probably would have kept these off and maybe done these later or as quick books, but we already had decided because I wasn't very impressed with these. And
I thought you were going to change your mind. I'm like, I hope I'm reading the right books here.
No. I figured we'd just go number one.
I totally thought the neighbor one was the start of the Defenders or something like that. So I just read that one. I was like, okay, and then Immortal Hulk.
Because I think I did put like Defenders, Namor / Hulk, meaning both of those.
I feel like you're really banking on people buying into this Defenders thing off the bat when you're asking for $10.
I totally forgot about
2 one-shots.
I don't think
the first week it's out. Like that's I don't know. To me, that's a large investment to ask for something you're not.
And quite frankly, just the cliffhanger. If you find out the cliffhanger, I'm not so certain that it wouldn't be something where just hold tight and get that Defenders #1 if you're interested to see what goes on, and then from there. Because really, what did we learn in these
you're not waiting
that they're not going to catch up?
In 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I think I'd do that. I'd give this. I could go as low as a 5.5. Is how little I like this, but I'm going to go with 6. I'm going to be positive and go with a 6. Since I gave the Hulk a 6.5, I'll go just a little bit down for this. Give it a 6. But if this was bypass or photocopy, whatever our ratings were, I would say pass on this and wait until the Defenders or maybe photocopy. Anybody photocopy? But what would you give it, Brandon?
I'm going just flat 5. I'll be honest.
Now I want to go down to
it's not like, you know, my Chips that I didn't even know he wrote this book until after I was finished reading it. I was just like, man, this is not like an interesting story. It's very talky and just. You know, I don't even have his bad jokes in this issue to make fun of.
No.
You know, so, you know, neither of these, although the Hulk did a little better job, got me excited for this Defenders book coming out. Although I will peek at the Silver Surfer issue.
I mean, I
want to see what happens there.
Both of these, I think we're going to do the Doctor Strange and the deal. So
flat 5, like I felt blah after reading this issue. So,
how about you, Aaron?
Well, not surprising. I'm going to be a little higher than you guys.
Oh, Mr. Positive over there. Yeah, a little higher. You're going to go 6.5, aren't you?
I'm going to go 6.8, actually. I can't go full 7. I'm going to go 6.8. Granted, I don't know much about Namor either, except that, you know, he's got an attitude. I mean, I know some backstories. I did read quite a few Invaders issues back in the day, but he does have he seems to have his more wits about himself in this issue. He's trying to control his anger. He knows he has the anger. He's trying to formulate a plan on how to go about taking over the land basically and protecting the seas. The art kind of elevates it yet again for me in this because the guy showed some imagination with the designing of the submersible.
I'll give you that because I was imagining why they got him to do it. Is what I was imagining. Now it's okay. It just looks old school to me.
It's definitely kind of a more of an old school kind of like the Green Lantern, the art we're getting from going on.
Yeah, it didn't help me though. I was confused at parts, confused at just what I was, and also it is tough to do art where you're just the yakety yak is overwhelming at points.
Another thing I appreciate about this is I read quite a few. I read almost all the Rebirth Aquaman issues, and I've read some of it. I never feel like we get a lot of underwater creatures and scenes and. Granted, that leads to a lot of blacks and blues and not a lot of colorful things.
But you're not going to have a lot of backgrounds. You really aren't. You're
not. But I do appreciate that we do get some backgrounds and some more aquatic life in this issue than pretty much all of Aquaman and Rebirth. Granted, if you've read that, you also can see some similarities in story progression with this too. And the Kraken or whatever is pretty much just a giant squid with the mouth in the wrong place.
Yeah. But
that's
all it looks like.
I did enjoy the, his portrayal of Namor. It felt right. It felt like he had his voice. So and the surfboard showing up and saving his life at the end was very intriguing to me. Granted, I didn't understand because I was kind of reading this quickly at the time that what had exactly happened there. I thought he had just turned into Silver Surfer. I didn't even notice the board swooping in and grabbing him and then turning him into putting the silver skin on top of him till flipping through it on the show here. But 6-8. I can't go full 7 though.
Yeah, and again,
this one intrigued me a lot more than the Mortal Hulk one.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Al Ewing's writing too.
Yeah,
and
it's a shame for this book that we kind of come with, and especially I'm telling you, it's not just that it's familiar to what was going on in Aquaman, especially since Rebirth, but it's the idea that story over at DC went on for so long. So it kind of
twice.
If you are a Marvel, and if you're a Marvel, it's from the beginning of the New 52, really. It's been 7 years of this one story. So if you are just a Marvel fan and haven't, then you know what? Go for it and see what you think, because you're not going to have that baggage that we do. I admit that. But once I start seeing air breathers and surface world and we're doing this, but we already got that in the Avengers, and then this is just a combo. I'm about to cough or something. Tell me something else, Brandon, while I cough.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of Chip Zdarsky, and again, I didn't say that impacted like my score because I didn't know until after. But I don't know. His writing just doesn't interest me. Like, it doesn't grab me. It's very wordy.
It was very wordy.
Bendis-esque. That I think that's what bugs me about him.
No, Bendis. Yes, he doesn't do the back and forth talking.
Ellipses and you or
To me, Keith Giffen's very along those lines as well at points. Yeah. But no, this one wasn't jokey though, and you didn't have the back and forth like you're going there, where, here, there. You didn't have that, but
that guy in the sheet definitely is just falling on deaf ears though, because that's the least intriguing part, and it's jarring when it just because I thought my comic downloaded wrong for Comixology. I was like, what is I don't know.
Yeah, I think that he definitely wants to really, get the idea to everybody, really. So if you're going to read this, you have to know about Namor. You have to know what makes him tick. Yeah, it just seemed like a lot of information. It was an info dump for the most part.
A big one.
But the last issue of the night is one that, again, it might be my favorite issue of the night. I still think that it's missing something, and it's going to kind of go back to the idea of what I said with Killmonger, but this is Winter Soldier #1, written by Kyle Higgins, art by Rob Rice, letters by VC's Clayton Kells. Now, before I start, I will mention, because me and Brandon, before we started, said it, Kyle Higgins wrote Nightwing at the beginning of the New 52 over at DC. This really felt like a Nightwing book to me,
Yeah.
even though it is Winter Soldier. It makes sense with Bucky, what's going on. But if you took this right now, put it over to DC, where Dick Grayson just got shot and is starting a new life, I swear to God, you would not have to change much at all. You get Sharon out of there, put in Batgirl, possibly.
This does not feel like Winter Soldier.
No, it
this
feels
is my
more
least
like
favorite
Nightwing.
book of the night.
See, I like it because Nightwing's my favorite character, and I don't get a lot of them. The problem I have with this, after I do my blurb, well, before I do my blurb, the problem I have is, again, this was one of those, Marvel loves to play this game where I think they release the solicits, they announce a book, and then they sit there with they have a glass, and they sit the glass next to the wall to hear what people are saying about it, see the pre-orders, and then decide between and jump back and forth between it being a a mini or whatever. But
what happened is Kyle Higgins came to them with this idea. They're like, yeah, that could probably work. Let's try that. And then they read this first issue and they're like, oh no, it's
the
going
problem,
to be a mini.
I have with though is that by the end of this issue, like I said with Killmonger, I kind of like the cliffhanger of this. I do like maybe he's going to, it's a little different, whatever. But I think that this is just going to be the standard town, done. That's all it seems that it's going to be. And by the end, I don't see that this, like Aaron, you said, it doesn't feel like, Bucky at all. There's no way that I think that this is going to be any sort of story that by the end, you're like, boy, this really gives me a new idea of Bucky, or oh my God, it really sets him up for something different. This is going to be one of those, in my mind, 5 issues, and we will never remember this again. This will never be referenced. It's just going to be something thrown out there. And that's knowing that it's 5 issues now. You can go and say, well, I didn't like this first one. At least we only have to deal with 5. But it makes it seem like, boy, this is not going to be anything by the end, because this first issue does drag a little. But like I said, it kind of gives me a Nightwing book without Nightwing, it seems. But I'm a huge Kyle Higgins fan. I enjoyed this enough because of the cliffhanger. I thought was cool enough to make me come back for the second issue. However, now it's just a miniseries. I wonder if we'll get Bucky just going from town to town to save people who want new lives, and then we'll be done with it and never reference it ever again. I'm not, I just came over to Marvel with
chasing him around all over the place.
Yeah, so with that, I wanted, when I heard about this Winter Soldier book, again, I don't know a ton of Bucky. I don't know a ton of Winter Soldier, so I was excited just to I was excited more for Kyle Higgins than anything else. I am a fan of Kyle Higgins. I read this, and again, I say this is my favorite issue of the night. We ain't going much past the 7 here. And that's it. Basically, it's the tallest midget in the circus here. I have not really enjoyed a lot of these issues tonight. So with this, you start off and basically Bucky is going around with Sharon, kind of, giving him a little assistance here, where he is finding where people, it's Hydra kind of based here, where people were part of Hydra, they're part of these organizations, things like that, and they want out. It could be as simple as the mob. It could be as simple as, whatever it'll be.
Relocation.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's relocation without courts involved. It is the Winter Soldier relocation, basically because he got a second chance and now he wants to give it. It's very cliched with that. It seems, even when the point where he's like, you know what? People deserve a second chance because I got one. And you see Cap, and I'm like, it kind of has some eye-rolling deals here. My biggest problem is my biggest problem is you start off and Bucky goes to this guy who looks like, he's a bad cop type deal. Security guard, whatever they are there, where they are planning, some bad stuff. It looks like they're cops, and he wants out. He doesn't want to be involved with this. He has gotten a hold of Winter Soldier at some point. Bucky shows up and says, all right, we're leaving. Okay, Arthur, let's get out of here. Pack your bags. We're going to go. These guys that were going to be involved in this job the next day, show up. They have powers. They're fighting, and the art is off in my mind. It's like
I'm not a fan of Rob Reese anymore.
Yeah,
I thought it was almost the weirdest thing I've ever seen, a cop with powers, because
I thought
you never
that was
see that in
too.
comic books.
And with that, the art to me, and this is not throwing shade.
A stupid cop with powers.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
This seemed like it was the art to me would be something I'd expect from a digital only.
This is the art that was in Damnation.
Yeah,
Doctor Strange Damnation.
Yeah,
and it was awful.
Yeah, it's not like art that when we talk about, like we talked about Killmonger at the beginning, I could almost say that if you're a Juan Ferreira fan, it'd be worth getting that issue just to look at the art. This, you have to have more, you have to get beyond the art to actually try to enjoy it, and there's not a lot of story to grab onto. It was upsetting. You have Tony Stark there. They're fixing up, Bucky's arm. He's welding. He's doing
because
things.
the cop broke his arm.
Yeah, he broke his arm.
Though he was able to jump out the window and use that arm right afterwards. I mean, the cop using his powers, he constricts Bucky, leaving one arm open, constricts him, cracks his arm, and then brings him close enough so Bucky can grab his gun
and shoot it next to his ear.
I mean,
and then other cops,
which is across his body, is just
I know,
ridiculous.
I know. And then the other cops come and they're like, "Let's jump out." Bucky at points looks like, I don't know, a mall magician.
He looks like his face is pasted onto his hair in a couple places.
I'm telling you, I think that this looks like it would be like one of those digital first comics.
It's like you took a 6-year-old, have him draw the comic, and then had someone put the colors that were actually, the colors is decent, but it's a painted color.
Now you're making me not have this my book of the week. Oh,
I don't know
because
how
we're almost
it
done. Because I read, maybe it's because it was so quick, and it didn't feel like it could be Nightwing. But you have Sharon there, you have Tony, and then that's the other eye-rolling moment. My mind is that everybody gets a second chance, right? To people who had second chances. You know what I'm saying, right there, Tony? You were a drunk, right? So it goes from there, and basically this guy, this Arthur, has gone to this new life. Also, there's a really odd thing where they end up in Shelbyville, Indiana. Well, these people better watch it, because Bucky's going around almost as if he's undercover trying to help these people. People have seen him. They know Winter Soldier, yet everybody in town's like, "How you doing there, Bucky?" I'm like, stuff's gonna go wrong.
This is the town he grew up in.
I was waiting for Homer Simpson to come strolling by Shelbyville.
They may have stolen the lemon tree. There's gonna be trouble. That's a Shelbyville thing. But you have it there where then this Arthur, man, he's not going into this town very well. I better head off to see him. And they go off, and the guy is the worst. And the minute that he says, like, he's
the biggest dummy and the worst witness ever.
Yep, he is. Yeah, he is, because he ends up talking, and as it goes on, and now I will tell you as well, you have this 2-page worth of talk to only lead to him saying, I talked to my girlfriend, by the way. What? You talked to girlfriend only just then to have an attack.
And then it just drives Bucky to run towards the bullets with his arm guarding the bullets like he's Captain America with a shield. I mean, you're going to get shot.
He always does that, though.
I know, but it
drives me nuts, but he always does.
Arthur is...
It's understandable in some points, though. He is running right towards just a doorway. Man. There is no way he can, dodge. He's just running straight. If someone's running straight at you, and you're just firing into a bar, I mean, you're going to get hit. And it's not very...
if you look to everybody in the bar is dead. They are all getting shot. It's blood everywhere. I do think that this Arthur is basically, he was like Henry Hill from Goodfellas, who ended up going and witnessed relocation like 3 times and getting arrested everywhere he went. He's not very good at this relocation, but this guy, it's the best to me, because the guy he's just kind of lonely. I don't like this town. There's nothing to do. Everybody's dead because the guy was bored. He just couldn't watch TV.
Because he missed his old girlfriend.
Yeah, and I have to bag groceries. Well, listen, you said you'd do anything. Well, it didn't seem to be the case. But it ends where we see who the shooter was, and it does look like Bucky Jr. It's this young guy who then, where I realize that they have had problems where the editors are reading this and like, okay, something's not, you know, we need to get something a little more. At the end, he's like, I'm a big fan. And you end up with next, and you see the cover, but then you have this little clip that tells you exactly who this guy is to try to get you excited. Well, and I tell you,
that's Nightwing, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it again. But
or is it that guy from Christopher Priest's Justice League?
Yeah, the fan. I'm a big fan. The fan. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go down now that we talked about it. I'm telling you, just getting through quick and thinking, boy, this could have been a Nightwing book. I like Kyle Higgins. This is not his best work. It does seem like maybe, you know, maybe hopefully in my mind, this is the setup issue to go to the next. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I like the ending just to see. Oh, this guy is a young. I'm just going to tell myself this is a
one shot and never read.
Yeah, you're never reading again. But yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna have to go down to a 6. I was gonna go 7, you stinker, but I'll go to a 6. So it's not my favorite issue. The art's a little down, but yeah, I'll go with that, hoping that we'll get a little more than just a book where he's going back and forth through towns and stuff and see how that goes. Now, the weird thing will be with this assassin, this teenager that's kind of come to get him. If we deal with that now, then this whole setup of him like helping people is just shoved aside. That would be very odd as well. But like I said at the beginning, what worries me is this was just pushed as, okay, it's an ongoing. Now it's just 5 issue. So we're just going to get one arc. And my fear is that Kyle Higgins had already written that and was seeding other things for later. And they're just going to kind of, you know, go dry and go that, like, if he was planning a longer Burns story, maybe it could get better, but it may not. But what would you give it, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm at a 6.5. I like the story enough. You know, Bucky's a cool character. I'm intrigued, I guess, a little bit about where this is going. It was just kind of a breezy little story. I didn't hate when I was finished, and there were a few corny moments for sure, but you know, I enjoy Kyle Higgins. I think he'll take it somewhere where ultimately it'll be all right in the end, you know.
How about you, Aaron?
I'm at a 5.
Oh wait,
I really did not like this issue at all, one bit. Yeah. I like Kyle Higgins as a writer. I've enjoyed quite a few of his things. Rod Reis has not been doing it for me on art, and this is probably some of the shoddiest art that I've ever seen him do, and probably the shoddiest writing I've ever seen Kyle Higgins do.
Yeah.
It did not feel like a Winter Soldier story. It felt like a story that was forcing Winter Soldier into it. There was like a premise that kind of.
You there?
The wife's phone, I guess, is hooked up to the computer, and I haven't figured out how to get it off right now.
I actually thought you were like it had gotten you wordless because you were so angry.
No, yeah, the wife's messages are popping up on here. I just updated the computer and everything's screwy.
Like, is the husband gone? Is Aaron out? Can I come over? You know,
no, Aaron never leaves the house.
Yeah, that's true. So that's like Jim. Yeah, that's the thing as well.
Yeah, I have nothing really good to say about this book at all. It's a 5 for me, and you know what kind of variety.
Yeah, we do. What is your book of the week then?
My book of the week would be
you would have to go Killmonger.
Killmonger,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, you went pretty high.
I couldn't remember what book
you were Mr. With. Positive there.
I really do like that Killmonger. No, I was 8.
Holy moly!
I said 8 on that book. I really did enjoy that issue.
Criminy, really?
Yep.
That ends up being I believe. I don't even remember. I think that's my book of the week. I didn't even like it. Yeah, it's better. Again, it kind of is the tallest midget in the circus. It really is. That these number ones where I thought that maybe this would be a neat idea so that people can kind of listen and go, oh, what can I buy out of these? Well,
Killmonger. That's the only thing you should buy.
Honestly, you might want to go and just get like a Whopper meal or something. It's Whopper Wednesday. Maybe just go there and wait. But yeah, it's okay. I just worry that it's not. It's weird too. Killmonger, I didn't like as much with the idea in my mind that it's not going to go further. Yet I was with Winter Soldier. giving it the benefit of the doubt because it may get better. I was going opposite because of how much I like Kyle Higgins, but I also love Brian Hill and Juan Ferrer. So yeah, I'll have to say Killmonger. Hopefully these Defenders things mean something by the end, but they were bizarre. So Killmonger is my book of the week. What about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm going Killmonger too. I mean, the Defenders were okay. I thought Winter Soldier was okay, but you know, Killmonger was a step above those, I'd say.
It was. Now, the idea that we're probably going to have another show this weekend, and we might just do this when there's tons of books. We might do it every week to kind of make the shows a little more bite-sized so people can listen and then have something on the weekend. We got to figure out if it's going to be Friday, Saturday, when we're going to record, what we're going to do, whatever. But the plan would be for this weekend to be Doctor Strange #9, Immortal Hulk #10, Uncanny X-Men #4, and Venom #9, which those are big books. I'm telling you, Doctor Strange, I'm looking at that book by the next arc. By the next arc.
You said that like 3 issues
I know, but we're getting towards maybe ending an arc soon again. And if it doesn't get better, it's out. It's out because I feel bad because Deadpool came out this week as well. And I've kind of enjoyed some of those more than, say, Doctor Strange. It just doesn't seem as big a book as a Doctor Strange. So it kind of gets pushed aside. Also, we have Black Panther that we ditched. And I don't have any regrets of that. But Doctor Strange is like the one book that we just have not enjoyed any issues. And we just keep going. And I don't know why we're so tied in. Maybe because he's an Avenger. Or was, and you know,
some of it, and kind of like the name on the book, you'd think it would be a little better. It's not.
Yeah. Really, I'm not really that big a Mark Waid fan anymore, so I think that's kind of going to go down the tubes as well.
He can be hot and cold.
Yeah, he's
been real cold lately, though.
He has been. He's a little bit. He's distracted. Right now is what I hear, but yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I don't know. He was distracted before all that nonsense, though, because I mean, his Avengers was not good.
No, it wasn't. He's a distracted fella. He was distracted then, getting ready to be.
He hasn't been good since like Black Widow.
I think during Avengers he was busy blocking people. Now he's just distracted. Is what he is. I don't know. But then again, Al Ewing is doing pretty good, and he's busy, blocking people.
I mean, Robinson even had a hit there for a little while. So I mean, because he had, wasn't it Scarlet Witch or something like that? He was doing.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
pretty good.
And then it was just a dud after dud. So I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll see. We will see. But yeah, look for the feed. Look this weekend to see how we're going to do this. And when we do kind of nail it down, then it'll be a constant thing. We're just trying to figure it out. In fact, while you were gone, Aaron, me and Brandon were going to record something this past weekend. Forgot that we had to talk He-Man and it ended up screwing our whole weekend. We ended up talking He-Man at midnight on Saturday. So we didn't have any time. But we'll figure that out and go with that. And then we'll be back. I believe too on this next episode we will have some quick books as well. This was almost like a special #1 special. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see. Jim episode.
Yes, they are not these #1s. We'll see how people liked it, but that's it. We will thank you.
I'm showing you your #1 for making me read Doctor Strange.
Yeah, thank you. I'm getting the #1 salute. But thanks everybody, and we'll see you next episode.
Later.